October 1962, the world held its breath. Two superpowers, armed to the teeth with nuclear weapons, stood toe-to-toe. One wrong word, one sudden move in civilization could have vanished in a flash of light. This is not science fiction. This was real.
Good evening, my fellow citizens.
This is the story of how the world almost ended and how it didn't. After the end of World War II, the uneasy alliance between the United States and the Soviet Union shattered. On one side, America capitalist, democratic, promoting individual liberty. On the other, the Soviet Union communist, authoritarian, promoting collective control. The Cold War wasn't a shooting war, not at first. It was a war of spies, satellites, propaganda, and proxy conflicts. It was a race for influence, and above all, a race for nuclear supremacy. Then, in 1959, a revolution erupted in Cuba. Fidel Castro overthrew the US-backed dictator Fulgencio Batista and aligned with the Soviet Union. Cuba, just 90 miles from Florida, was now a communist outpost at America's doorstep. Washington was alarmed. Moscow was emboldened. The stage was set. In the early morning of the 14th of October, 1962, a US U-2 reconnaissance plane flew over Cuba. What it saw changed everything. High-resolution photographs showed construction sites unmistakably Soviet nuclear missile launchers. Missiles capable of striking New York, Washington, or Chicago in under 10 minutes. For the first time, the United States was vulnerable at home. President John F. Kennedy was briefed the next morning. What followed was a flurry of secret meetings. Military leaders urged immediate airstrikes. Others feared escalation. Kennedy chose a middle path. The announcement was made on national television.
Good evening, my fellow citizens.
The world froze. Would they stop? Or would this be the beginning of nuclear war? For days, the US Navy enforced the blockade while warplanes circled above. The DEFCON level was raised to 2, the highest ever in US history. Thousands of nuclear weapons stood on alert. Millions of citizens waited in fear. Backroom negotiations were chaotic. Then, a twist. Khrushchev sent 2 messages. The first, emotional and conciliatory, suggesting a peaceful resolution. The second, aggressive and demanding, written under pressure from Soviet hardliners. Kennedy and his advisors chose to ignore the second letter and publicly responded only to the first. Meanwhile, a secret offer was on the table. The US would quietly remove its aging missiles from Turkey, aimed at the USSR. But diplomacy wasn't the only danger. On the 27th of October, a US Navy ship dropped depth charges near a Soviet submarine to force it to surface. The submarine, armed with a nuclear torpedo, was cut off from Moscow. The commander wanted to launch. Only one man, Vasily Arkhipov, refused to consent. His decision likely saved the world from destruction. On the 28th of October, 1962, Khrushchev announced the removal of Soviet missiles from Cuba. The crisis was over. Publicly, it seemed like a US victory. Secretly, both sides had made concessions. Both had blinked. A direct hotline was established between Washington and Moscow, a red phone linking the 2 leaders in real time. Treaties to limit nuclear weapons soon followed. But the crisis left deep scars. Kennedy and Khrushchev had stared into the abyss and stepped back. It proved that rational leadership, empathy, and communication mattered more than firepower.